All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, as we prepare to get underway for Stint 4 here at Spa-Francorchamps. Hopefully we're not going to have too much of a delay as we get underway here. For those of you who missed, Stint 3 was the first of the two stints that will be happening today. That will be in the light rain category, and that means that we are going to be seeing another round here in the light rain. Likely we'll be seeing we will likely be seeing the majority of the field doing another set of runs on wet weather tires. We're anticipating the majority of the field to do 5-stop strategies like what they did last stint. And for a very concerning thing for a lot of the field, F1R Eclipse, who dominated in incredible fashion in Stint 3, is going to be starting on the pole again here for Stint 4. So the F1R team setting themselves up very well for another overall dominance here at Spa-Francorchamps. Right now, they are getting the grid ordered up right now. As you can see, ESV Green's team is second overall. NDL Shadow is sharing the team, I believe, with the other ESV driver. No, ESV Pobs should be up there in third. I guess they're not got a Pobs position on track recorded yet. I'm going to guess that's what's happening at least. They're still properly organizing the field at the moment right now. So just please stand by as they are trying to get everything properly lined up here. But it is going to be F1R Eclipse and ESV Green at the front. And okay, so apparently ESV Pob is not going to be starting up near the front. I do believe that typically the grid ordering for Stint 4 is the combined distance for Stints 1 and 2. So I wonder if ESV Pob's team had some sort of problem in Stint 2 that I was not aware of that may have shunted them down the order. We'll keep an eye on that as this goes forward. Okay, so there is an ESV disconnect from that team in Stint 2, so that is why they are so far down the order here. So we will have to look at another ESV driver try to fight their way up through the grid. Okay, understood. Thank you for the heads up, Bobberts and Darkser. I do think we have the majority of the paint schemes working at least. Thank goodness for that. And we will see the field take off once they get down to the bridge just before Al Rouge and Radion here. As you see the field, 18 cars rolling now through the turn 1 hairpin. And we will see them accelerate. We'll see them accelerating just as they enter this camera's perspective here. Our focus is going to be on ESV Green. Can he do anything here at the start? As we are underway once again here at Spa-Francorchamps, the top 4 immediately trying to make something of it here. And it looks like the majority of the field is going to get through Al Rouge and Radion the first time around with no issue. Here comes Green. He's going to look to the outside of F1R Eclipse. He's going to be side by side. Green has the car about 2/3 of the way ahead, 3/4 of the way ahead. He's going to clear Eclipse by a braking zone. Eclipse is going to go deep, side by side. This is the most intense fight Eclipse has had to deal with all day, and Green clears him. So now ESV Green moves himself ahead of F1R Eclipse, while NDL Shadow and Dex Megzin run right behind it. 4 cars all on top of each other, and we may have had a disconnect already. Yeah, it looks like they're going to have to do a lobby reset. Something appears to have gone wrong. Not sure what's happened, but something appears to have gone wrong early on here at Spa-Francorchamps as they attempted to do Stint 2. We do apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen, but we'll have to wait a little bit longer. Such a frustrating thing for ESV Green. He had that perfect start, and now he's going to have to try and figure out a way to replicate it now that the F1R team knows exactly what they're going to do. Take 2 now here at Spa for Stint 4. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We're going to do our second attempt here for stint number 4 at Spa-Francorchamps. Still going to have the same amount of wet weather conditions that we did in stint 3. It's going to be F1R Eclipse and ESV Green leading the field to the green flag here. Green had a great attempt on try 1. Will he be able to replicate here on try 2? We're going to hear them accelerate and watch them as they rush down to Al Rouge and Radion once again. And this time, no, it looks like Eclipse is the one that had a much better start this time. And once again, it seems like the majority of the field is going to be able to get through Al Rouge and Radion without too much issue. But ESV Green nowhere near as close to Eclipse as where he was last time. He's got to run. He's got the draft. Is he going to try and pull alongside again? He is. He's going to go to the outside. Pulls even as they come to the braking zone. Who breaks later? They broke at about the same time, but in the end, Green cannot complete the overtake. They're right on top of each other. There's Indiel's Shadow trying to put the pressure on Green as well, but Green has to fall back in line behind Eclipse for the moment, and now they rush downhill. I cannot answer that on the Spiral's Guide. There may be a Spiral's Guide in the Discord. I typically am not too worried about Spiral's Guide. Now they come downhill through the no-name corner. Eclipse opens up a bit of a gap on Green here. And they rush downhill. ESV Green trying to close in on Eclipse, but it looks like this time Eclipse has Green's number at the head of the grid, and already Green's starting to pull away from Indiel's Shadow a bit as Shadow is under pressure from Dex Megzin. There is ZR Villa just a little bit behind him. Looks like the field is a little bit more single-filed out early on this time compared to where they were before. And now, while it is the same amount of rain, the track is going to be even cooler than before as the sun has near completely set. There is almost no light on track that is natural. It's all just the headlights and what the track lights do provide here. Shadow dropped the tire into the dirt as they came out of that corner, but he's still right there behind. It does look like there's a car that has gone way off, maybe 2 cars that went way off there. I think that may have been Dr. Ice and Lucas 06. It looks like the 2 of them went way off there as they entered Sector 3. A lot of bigger gaps in the field compared to this point, lap 1 in stint 3. Dr. Ice looks to move to the inside of Lucas, and while it gets him the inside line in the first half of the chicane, does not help him on the exit, so Dr. Ice stays in 9th behind Lucas. Haya Cranky falls all the way back to last place, and ESV Pov, who came home with an easy 3rd place result in stint 3, is still dead last, stuck. I'm curious to see if ESV Pov can put together an incredible run and run up through the field like what we saw the other F1R driver, Legrecht, do earlier, but they are 3 wide ahead of Pov right now. Pov has got to be frustrated. He does not want to see these drivers wreck, does not want to see something go wrong to them right now. He's being very reserved, very cautious as he watches them big slide behind Cranky. Pov's going to go a little bit off track just to try and clear him. Now he's going to go ahead and clear Dex Alien. Now he's going to pull up on EBT, SS Flipper. He's got the draft. He's going to go back to the outside. Does he try to go deep under braking, clear him? Under braking, he's got the nose ahead. It looks like Flipper broke really early, and yes, Pov is going to pick up 3 positions there on the run through Al Rouge Radion and all the way down to the Cavill Straight. So Pov is starting to march his way through the field, and Legrecht, who also started near the back, but is making his way up, already up to 13th, trying to make something happen on C1 Alpha 37. So both Legrecht and Pov are drivers we need to keep an eye on, especially because Pov finished ahead of Legrecht, but he basically ran so much of the track in relatively clean air compared to what Legrecht had to do. Now Legrecht is ahead of Pov. The question is going to be, does Pov have the speed and ability to actually run Legrecht down on circuit? That is going to be the interesting thing to watch. Both of them are going to be dealing with a lot of traffic here early on, but this time Legrecht is ahead of Pov. We have to see if Pov has what it takes to run down that F1R driver. But at the head of the field, it is F1R Eclipse. ESV Green is already starting to lose ground to him. Dex Megzen has moved ahead of NDL Shadow, the Noodles team, for the moment. So Megzen has put the Dex car into the podium positions once again. NDL Shadow is back here in the 4th spot, trying to make something of it, and Megzen went wide, and now Shadow's gonna get a run back on Megzen. He's closing back in here in Stint 3, on Sector 3 on the circuit once more, through this high-speed left-hand corner. Can he get close enough to maybe make a move under braking, going to the chicane? Oh, he's looking for it. Do you look inside? Do you look outside? Or do you just brake early and hope that the Dex car makes a mistake? They brake at about the same time, so no attempt at a move by Shadow. Not this time. Looks like Shadow may have gotten a little bit sideways, but no big change between those two yet. Is TNR Skitty, who brought home a 6th place finish in Stint 3. He is currently running 5th on track. Reminder, Skinny was running a very conservative 5-stop strategy, pitting about once every 18.5 minutes or so. Relatively simple strategy, didn't really push the tires to any crazy numbers. Could he make that strategy work again here at Spa? Meanwhile, he's got ZR Villa behind. ZR Villa was involved in an accident in the prior stint at the top of Al Rouge and Radion. He's going to try and recover from that. Now here comes ZR Villa. He's going to look to the outside of TNR Skitty. Drag race between the ZR and the TNR teams neck and neck, but it looks like Villa is going to clear him. By the time they get to the braking zone, he will. He'll just barely clear him by the time they get to the braking zone. So ZR Villa breaks into the top 5 positions here on track once again. Already, Eclipse is absolutely destroying everyone else. Farther back, Leg Wrecked has already moved up into the 11th position. He's cleared Alpha, he's cleared Dex Prude, and now he's going to try and close in on AMS Mead. Mead is another one of those drivers of many talents. We see him win GT championships. He's won touring car races. He's won in all sorts of things right now, but he's going to have to keep Leg Wrecked behind, and Leg Wrecked really seems to be on top of his stuff right now. Villa has already lost a position back to Skitty, and now is under threat from Virtuoso. Virtuoso trying to go the long way around ZR Villa as they come into the double downhill left-hander here. Nothing there. He's actually squeezed a little wide, so Villa gets back by him, and now Lucas is going to have a shot at maybe making something happen. Lucas looks inside, Lucas looks outside. He's going to brake nice and early, try to get a good run into the corner, hopes that Virtuoso has a bad run so he can shoot out and get alongside him. Nothing yet. Doesn't seem like Lucas is able to do anything to Virtuoso, not this time at least. Virtuoso trying to find a way back by ZR Villa, and Skitty holds station. Meanwhile, in the 5th spot, they are also side by side farther back. That is Dr. Ice having a little bit of a fight with Mead. Mead now cracks the 9th position here. And that's F1 Leg Wrecked, who forces his way by Dr. Ice, as all 3 of them were drifting there in that high-speed left-hander, and now Leg Wrecked trying to make something happen on Mead. Meanwhile, Pav has only made up those 3 positions we saw earlier. Leg Wrecked is actually gapping Pav on track. Could it be that Leg Wrecked is actually going to be faster than Pav in this stint? He started ahead of Pav, and is he going to be able to maintain that? Because that could be really interesting as this goes on. Now Virtuoso gets by ZR Villa in the hairpin this time. So TNR Skitty and TBR Virtuoso, who finished 6th and 7th in the prior stint, they are now 5th and 6th on track right now. They ran similar strategies last stint. Can they do it again? Villa is not done with Virtuoso, though. They're going to be side by side as they go through Al Rouge and Radion. That's a really risky move, guys. Virtuoso runs wide, and he's going to hold station over ZR Villa after running wide this time. Now flying down the Camel straightaway, Villa has a draft off of Virtuoso, trying to close back down as Lucas and Mead are fighting, and all the while Leg Wrecked runs just a little bit behind. We round board with Leg Wrecked as he watches those 2 cars ahead going side by side, door baying each other, and as they do, they bleed off a bunch of time. It brings Leg Wrecked right up behind, but Leg Wrecked is not in a position to get alongside. He's got to be careful. He's going to go to the inside. Leg Wrecked trying to make it 3 wide to go downhill. 3 wide, goes to the inside, makes contact, forces Lucas offline. Mead holds station for now, but now Leg Wrecked's got to his inside. Mead and Leg Wrecked neck and neck into the no-name corner, and Mead's got to slide it from Leg Wrecked for the moment. and Mead holds on to 8th, but Legrecht is not done. Legrecht looks to the inside. Mead goes down. Mead's gonna squeeze the door shut at the last possible moment. Legrecht is forced behind Mead just for the moment. Legrecht trying to figure out it by Mead. Mead, a champion, a winner in multiple different distances, is struggling to try and keep Legrecht, who is one of the fastest drivers out here today, behind him, but it just doesn't seem to be happening. They dive now into the right-hander, followed by a left-hander afterwards, kind of like the S's you could call them here at the bottom of Sector 2. Legrecht is still behind Mead. Mead's going to hold a little bit more conservative line right now, just trying to keep Legrecht dropped behind him. Pav still is stuck in 15th position, is still not making any ground on Legrecht right now. I do think Legrecht might actually be faster than ESV Pav at this stage of the event. So Legrecht still stuck behind AMS Mead. He looks to the inside. It doesn't look like there's anything that Mead's going to be able to do to fight back. He's going to clear Mead before they even get to the following braking zone. And yes, Legrecht already up into the 8th position. The same thing that he did last time. It is again, all over again. Legrecht, by not starting dead last, by starting a little bit higher up in the grid, might have a legitimate run at getting 3rd position here. Legrecht has been something special to watch today. That is for certain. Legrecht already up into 8th position, and now he's going to put his sights on ZR Villa as Mead has already lost touch with him. Meanwhile, first place Eclipse has completely destroyed Green on track, and Dex Megzin now runs 3rd on track. The gap between Megzin and Green is about half the distance between Green and Eclipse, and then NDL Shadow has a similar gap between himself and Megzin that Megzin has to Green. Shadow is under a little bit of threat from TNR Skitty right now. Big switch and big slide by TNR Skitty, literally putting the namesake on the track as he went through Al Rouge and Radion right now. Then you have TBR Virtuoso running in 6th with ZR Villa in 7th, and they are going to have to figure out themselves quickly because F1R Legrecht is steaming up with a huge head of steam. He is going to kick them with his legs so he can wreck them in the next lap or so, I imagine. Virtuoso did not have a good time there, and it's brought ZR Villa right behind him, and TNR Skitty and NDL Shadow are not that far ahead, so 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th all on top of each other. Villa all sorts of sideways here as they start to run downhill, and here comes Legrecht. Legrecht is now right there. This is gonna get crazy, folks. Again, Legrecht, I think one of the big things that not a lot of other drivers on track are taking advantage of, that Legrecht seems to understand. Legrecht is taking that wider line on that little short straightaway after the no-name corner. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's giving him a much, much wider entry so he can cut in a lot more aggressively and potentially take a little bit more speed through. And I think that is really letting that F1R team stretch their legs so they can go ahead and kick the competition so hard that everyone else basically ends up getting wrecked. I'm going to continue to make those awful puns and comparisons throughout the rest of the time of this broadcast as long as Legrecht is running on circuit here. We ride on board with Legrecht, and already in about a lap, he has just about caught ZR Villa. He has got a significant amount of straight line speed against Villa, trying to close in, trying to make something happen. Maybe he'll do it under braking at the chicane. He is right behind that machine, that 719 machine. Is he going to go to the inside? Is he going to go to the outside? Did he just back out early? He's looking at the inside. He's going to think of the inside, trying to go for it. He gets right into ZR Villa's rear end, but cannot get alongside. He is stuck behind the car. Now he's got to run coming down the pit straightaway. Is this going to be all he needs? He's going to go to the inside. Go deep. I think he'll be able to clear him. Yes, he slide jumps. Denies Villa the ideal run coming down the corner. And Legrecht is going to kick his way past ZR Villa. Legrecht already up into the 7th position. As compared, ESV Pav has only made his way up into 14th, I mean. So while ESV Pav has been fantastic in clean air, Pav really seems to be struggling in dirty air here. Someone got really sideways coming up the hill there. I couldn't tell if that was Mead. It looked like it might have been Mead who got really sideways uphill. I don't know how in the world he didn't end up dying there through Al Rouge and Radion. But now Legrecht is right there behind TBR Virtuoso. Virtuoso's been passed once by Legrecht already today, back in the prior stint. But it came a lot later than what it is now. Virtuoso's got to be thinking, man, Not you again. I don't want to get roundhouse kicked in the cheek again. But Legrect is trying to and follow. This time though, Virtuoso has a slightly better time at the top of Sector 2. They run downhill now into this big 180-degree sweeping corner. Legrect following suit for now. Now into the no-name corner. Legrect trying to close in. This is the little bit of a straightaway. Legrect runs a little bit wider. I think he carries a little bit more speed through here by putting his tires on that green painted stuff on the extreme outside there. For the moment, it looks like Virtuoso is holding steady. Tire wear is about to come into play, something big. I imagine we're going to see a lot of drivers here pitting very shortly here. And no, everyone here is running touring cars. There are no prototypes. Everyone here is running touring cars. The number ones are in the Lincoln Co. cars. I think the number threes are the MGs, and the number two, I believe, are the Audis. That's how it's looking right now, at least. So Legrect kind of stalling out behind Virtuoso right now, but comparing to ESV Pav, who finished behind the prior stint, Pav is just not making forward momentum right now. We are expecting a lot of drivers to start making their next pit stops very, very shortly here. Actually, their first pit stops of the entire day. Real quickly, let's look at Pav. Who cares what Pav's tire wears look like? 54%. There's only 5.4% left in the tank. Who pits? Already Eclipse is coming into the pit lane. Will Green pit? Will Megson pit? No, Green and Megson are going to stay out for a little longer. So at the line, Green is going to lead. So that will be a little bit of a difference here. Villa is going to go ahead and pit. But Villa's going to stay out. Lucas is going to stay out. It looks like we're going to see Pav stay out. We're going to see C1 Alpha stay out. We're going to see Dr. I stay out. Alien stays out. Hiya Cranky stays out. And EBT SS Flipper stays out. So a lot of different drivers running on a lot of different strategies early on here. And this could get interesting because one thing this could mean is that Eclipse may, for the first time today, have to deal with actual legitimate traffic. He is going to end up just alongside, I believe that is Hiya Cranky. No, he's going to be just a little bit ahead of Hiya Cranky, although Hiya Cranky's tires still have some heat in them. Eclipse is not going to get some heat into those tires properly until they get into the Camel Straight. Here comes Hiya Cranky trying to go around the outside. That's a big twist by Eclipse. I did not see that coming. But Hiya Cranky backed out of the side. Eclipse got all sorts of sideways. And Hiya Cranky is like, all right, I'm going to get all off of your back now. Now he breaks late. He's going to try and dive deep in. But Eclipse is able to dive a little deeper. And now Eclipse will get the tires up to temperature. So Eclipse is going to hold on to 10th. I think he has enough clean air that I don't think Eclipse is going to have to deal with traffic for the rest of this time. But now we look at ESV Green, who is staying out a little bit longer than what our leader did. He is at 61.8% right now, and he's got Dex Megson, who has absolutely closed the gap down on ESV Green, who's only at 60%. So Megson seems to be managing his tires a little bit better than ESV Green right now. This could get really interesting here, as these two are completely gone away from the rest of the field right now. Mind you, in the fight between Pav and Legrect, Legrect pitted, Pav did not. Now at the bottom of the hill, bottom of Sector 2, and now they start to accelerate into Sector 3. Megson right behind Green. Does Megson go for a move on Green? Does he try to force his way by ESV Green? Get into Green's head, try to psychologically play games? Or does he just stay content, stay calm, and run behind Green right now? Nothing yet. Now through that sweeping, fast left-hander in the middle of Sector 3 and now into the chicane. He looks to the outside. Does he try to go for the move? Green moves over, blocks him. Megson, I think, is just trying to get some clean air on the tires, and now here they come. Green's pitting, Megson's pitting. I imagine most of the field are going to be pitting on this circuit. So how many of these guys are F1R Eclipse going to end up ahead of now? Everyone ahead of Eclipse pits this time by. So is Eclipse going to get all of his positions back? As technically, Green leads 2 laps at the line. Yeah, that's pretty cut and dry. There's no one on Eclipse's level right now. But what about the other F1R driver, F1R Legrect, who pitted last lap? How many of these drivers will he be able to overtake? Well, he's overtaken Pav. He's overtaken the majority of them. It looks like he's overtaken everyone except for Green and Megson. He might be able to overtake Green and Megson shortly here, but Legrecht is still stuck behind Virtuoso. There's Megson, there's Shadow, there's Green. They're all on top of each other. Legrecht still fighting with Virtuoso, and Megson's right ahead of them. These two have better tires right now. Fresher, warmer tires than Megson. Megson's got to make a little bit of contact with Virtuoso. There is all sorts of chaos, and Legrecht has got to force his way by Virtuoso as Virtuoso backs out to not wreck himself and Megson at the top of Al Rouge and Radion now. It looks like Skitty may have just disconnected. Frustrating for the team that had just came home in the top 7 result in the prior stint and now disconnect in the first 20 minutes this time. And Megson has got cut down in front of Virtuoso this time by. But Skitty already dropping out frustratingly. We're going to try and reach out to them, see if they have anything they want to say here. Still, Legrecht stuck behind Virtuoso. Virtuoso is putting on some of the biggest frustration that Legrecht has had to deal with thus far. Legrecht has been stuck behind Virtuoso now through an entire pit sequence. And they see Megson just ahead. Interestingly enough, Green has ended up well ahead of Megson, and Shadow has actually ended up splitting the two. So Shadow is back in 3rd position. And unsurprisingly, though, F1R Eclipse just kind of scooting away and running away from the rest of the field here early on. How many lobbies they got? From what I understand, I think we are looking at 4 different lobbies this time. However, there are only 3 of us doing broadcasting, and I'm splitting A lobby duties with another driver, so only A and B lobby are being streamed. But there is a C lobby and a D lobby. I just don't think any of them are being streamed like this. There may be some drivers in the lower lobbies who are actually broadcasting their own POVs, but no one is doing a proper broadcast like this one. Anyways, we focus back here. Legrecht finally muscles his way by Virtuoso at the bottom of Sector 2. Now starting to put his focus on Dex Megson. Meanwhile, ESV Pav, after the pit sequence is completed, has moved their way up into 11th position. Now they're looking up at AFMG Heller. I am assuming that is Heller, not Hell R. I'm assuming it's Heller, who they are looking at right now. Lucas is stabilized in 9th position, seems to be about the position that the PTG team seems to be at. AMS Mean has actually kind of moved up just a little bit, stabilized into the 7th position right now. TVR Virtuoso runs in 6th position, about where he was at the end of the prior stint as well. People fear-mongering about the game dead like you was one of the reasons why the game is dead. I'm sorry to say. But anyways, Virtuoso continues to hold on to 6th position. Legrecht has finally gotten by him though, but now Legrecht has to try and run down Dex Megson as Megson has caught NDL Shadow. Mind you, Megson pitted about a lap later than what Shadow did. So Megson has tires that are a lap fresher than what Shadow can do. Shadow got track position, but it seems like that track position advantage is already just about completely evaporated, and Megson is already putting the pressure on Shadow. Reminder, at least based on what the first run on the tires looked like, it did seem like Megson has the ability to actually match Green on tire life, if not slightly better him as well. So right now, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and maybe 5th as well could all be up to play. We don't know how much faster Legrecht is going to be compared to the 3 drivers ahead, but we do know that Megson seems to have, at least on paper, tires that can match, if not slightly be better than Green's, and he's already putting pressure on NDL Shadow early on here right now. NDL Shadow holds station over Dex Megson still. No big move by the Dex team. They seem to be relatively reserved and restrained at the moment. But Megson has to move, has to go at some point. Shadow, being on tires that are a little bit more worn, is just going to continue to hold up Megson's lap times. Oh, here comes the move! Big dive going into the chicane! And he's clear! Megson absolutely destroys Shadow. Shadow was caught completely off guard, left the inside line open. And Megson with a fantastic dive bomb there in the chicane. And now Legrex is going to be right behind Shadow. Well, not right behind Shadow, but he is now looking at Shadow. And Legrex can see second, third, and fourth all right behind. And now Legrex is behind Shadow. Now he's to the outside of Shadow. Already, and now it's a drag race downhill. As they're coming down into Al Rouge and Radion once again. And already Legrex has completely cleared Shadow. Is something wrong with Shadow's car? Has he damaged the engine or something? No engine damage. He just does not seem to be able to keep up with the other drivers. And Shadow has now gone from third to fifth in only about a quarter of a lap. And Legrex is now up to fourth where he was at the end of stint 1. But now there's still about an hour and 15 minutes left in this stint. Legrex could still make a third or a second place result out of this all. Coming downhill. Legrex right behind Megson. Megson slides a little bit wide, leaves the inside wide line open for Legrex, and then Megson shuts the door on Legrex right before he can get alongside, trying to compromise Legrex's run. Now we see Megson, he runs a line very similar to what Legrex does down this little straightaway, putting those outside tires right on that painted green stuff before cutting in. But Legrex seems to be able to hold the inside line a little bit better than Megson. Megson's not able to hold that inside as well. And Legrex is right there, right behind, putting the pressure on that blue and yellow machine. Nose to tail. Nose right into the rear wing. F1R versus Dex. ESV Pod, for comparison, has only made his way up into the 10th position thus far. Legrex is in 4th and fighting for 3rd. As they are now accelerating down to this big left-hand sweeper in Sector 3 again. Can Legrex get him here? Oh, the rear end of Megson's car really hung out there, and Legrex was right behind, but not close enough to make a move. Megson is very willing to make big moves, but Legrex has been the class of the field thus far. And now they accelerate out of that left-right chicane, the final chicane on the circuit, and down the start-finish straightaway again. Legrex not close enough to make a big dive here into the hairpin, but he does get right behind that car, and Shadow is right behind him all over again as well. Right now, Boris Shadow, as he watches this duo in front of him. Any big moves through Al Rouge and Radion. Both of them put the tires on the grass on the outside going in. Shadow tries to follow, but can't, very nearly lose the control at the top of the hill. That really kind of puts in perspective the difference in the setup of the cars. The NDL team car seems to be really, really sideways whenever he gets onto the curbs or the grass, but the F1R and the Dex car seem to be a lot more planted, and now Legrex going around the outside, or trying to, but Dex goes deep on corner exit, and he's got to clear Legrex, put about a car width between them. All the while, Green is trying to scoot away. Again, Megson leaves about half of a car width open to Legrex, but Legrex tries to put his nose there, and Megson shuts the door, slams it right in his face in the process. Downhill once again. Oh, and there's contact! And Legrex forced Megson off circuit! Put the bumper to him under braking! And forced Megson wide! Legrex looks to the inside! Megson on the outside! Megson barely holds on! And now at the bottom of the hill, and all of them are nose to tail once again, despite putting the bumper to him. Legrex was not able to get by Megson after putting the bumper to him there. It's starting to get real physical now at the bottom of Sector 2, and now they begin to come into Sector 3 again. And Shadow is right there. As long as these two are fighting, Shadow is able to keep up. Now look at this. Leg wreck looking at the inside. Megson trying to punch him, pinch him down, squeeze him down. They're almost going to be side by side. No, leg wreck backs out of it. Megson is sideways as they come out of that high-speed left-hander. A little bit of a gap opens up between them again, so they should be able to clear this chicane without too much issue. But under braking, leg wreck closes up so much on Megson. And now onto the start-finish straightaway once again, this time by just about nose to tail. Oh, and he looks to the inside. This is going to be the move. Dive bomb to the inside in the turn one hairpin. Door to door. Runs Megson a little bit wide. Now it's a drag race down the hill. It looks like leg wreck's already cleared Megson. Is it already done? It is already done. Leg wrecked up to third. And there's still an hour and 10 minutes left in this event. Could leg wreck maybe catch ESV Green by the end of this? Megson's not done with leg wreck yet. He is still right behind. He may have taken the kick from the F1R team, but Megson wants to make something happen. He looks to the inside. He's got a big run to the inside. Pulls up alongside, side by side down the Camel straightaway. Megson's got the nose ahead. He's got about half the car ahead. He's going to go kind of deep under braking. Leg wreck's going to go deep as well, and he slides. Boy, does he slide and lets Megson gets the car back alongside. They'll be side by side in the final corner, and Megson goes back to the third position. Now, leg wreck looks to the inside again, goes deep again, really deep, and this one's gonna be enough. There's no way to fight back on the outside of that corner, and leg wreck clears Megson without any issue this time. Megson immediately tries to come back in, following in the tire tracks of leg wreck. This is the corner where leg wreck put the bumper to Megson before, but couldn't pass him. Will we see Megson return the favor? Will he put the bumper on leg wreck this time? No dice, not this time. Although leg wreck does slide a little bit wide, it lets Megson close in just a little bit better. But yes, indeed, it does seem like leg wreck has the position in his hooves now. Now, how long will it take for him to dispose of Megson, open up the gap, and try to start running down ESV Green ahead of him? That will be the big question. Come onto the Sector 3 once again. Megson right behind leg wreck. Does Megson go for a big, crazy move here? Do you dare? Do you try? Eclipse is pitting this time. Do either of these two elect to pit on this lap? Oh, here comes Megson. Going around the outside. Oh, and leg wreck's paid, but Green's not, and Megson's not. All right, ad break, and we'll be back momentarily here at Spa. Green. 46 for Megson. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back here to Spa-Francorchamps. F1R Eclipse, our leader, has made another stop and is in the middle of a fight with AMS Mead. Second time now that Eclipse is going to go ahead and just destroy Mead on the track. Granted, Eclipse is on fresh tires, Mead is on worn tires, but still, Eclipse completely in a zone of his own. The F1R team as a whole are basically in a zone of their own right now. But those seem to be paying a little bit earlier than the other drivers on circuit, trying to preserve their tires just a little bit. Everyone else seems to be going a lot deeper into the tire runs than them. Meanwhile, at the head is currently ESV Green, who was being run down by Megson. All of a sudden, Megson has lost a huge chunk of time to Green. He was right behind Green just a moment ago, and all of a sudden he's lost a huge chunk of time to Green. Not really sure what's happened there. NDL Shadow now paying out the 3rd position. So will AMS Mead Pit, so will TBR Virtuoso. For the other ESV entry, ESV Pod, they are now making their 2nd stop. So is C1R Alpha. With C1 Alpha, so is VER Dr. Ice. And F1R Eclipse holds on to 3rd position right now. Only has Megson and Green ahead, and he's going to pass them without a doubt. Interesting little spat going on here between Lucas and ZR Villa at the top of the hill. Both these drivers on older tires. They are going to be way farther down the order after they do pit, but still. Interesting thing is going to be about F1R Legrecht, who runs in clean air for the moment. He was fine with Megson before pitting, but he is now pitted, and he is basically 2 laps behind Megson, well, ahead of Megson now. So he's got better tires, and I think that after Megson pits, he's still going to end up behind Legrecht after all. Legrecht able to hold that inside, coming into the double left-hander better than anyone else. And I have to wonder now, is there something with this car, with the MGs, that gives them a little bit of an advantage? It seems to me like the MGs are able to turn in a lot more aggressively without breaking traction compared to the Audis and the Lincoln Cos. I cannot confirm that, but from my perspective, it does seem like the MGs have a little bit more aggressive turn-in than what the Lincoln Cos can do, and they're able to maintain grip despite having that more aggressive turn-in. But it may not even be a MG fade. It may be a setup thing with the F1R team. Green and Megson finally making their stops, so Eclipse will obviously take over the lead, but our real interest is Megson. How many of these cars is Legrecht gonna pass? Will he be ahead of Megson after Megson and Green come out of the pit stops here? Legrecht's already clear of Alien, clear of Prod. What about Lucas, Villa, Megson, and Green? Clears all of them except Green. Now they come out of the hairpin. And yes, Legrecht is most definitely ahead of Megson. In fact, Megson might end up losing the position to Shadow here, depending on how this goes. Shadow's got nice warm tires. Megson's on cold tires, and they won't be up to full temperature until they get down to the Camel straightaway. Shadow's going to catch the draft off of Megson, closing in on him down the straightaway. Just about nose to tail. Does Shadow go for a big, bold dive to the inside? No, he stays in line behind Megson. And I have a feeling that will be enough. I think that Megson is good enough that he'll be able to stay ahead of Shadow for most of the rest of this time. So now the question is going to be between F1R Legrecht and ESV Green. That's the gap. You see it on track. There is basically only about 7 to 8 car lengths between the two of them. There is almost no gap between ESV Green and F1R Leg Wrecked right now. Leg Wrecked is running Green down with speed. We are likely going to see Leg Wrecked catch ESV Green before this stint is over. Likely before this round of tires is over, because the big thing with ESV Green, who is running one of the Lincoln Co. cars, is that these cars seem to burn up their tires a lot faster than the other cars on track. They seem to really fall off near the very end of their tire life. Leg Wreck, though, has been pitting significantly earlier, trying to avoid that. Green, I think, might be, no guarantee, but might be trying to push out tire life a bit, so that way they aren't on older tires near the very end. Leg Wreck might be pushing a little bit more aggressively, but again, if Green is bleeding off so much time with older tires near the very end, I can't confirm one way or another, but I do think that when it comes down to it, I think Leg Wreck is going to have ESV Green's number by the end of this. And mind you, every single overtake has been done by Leg Wreck on track, on merit, outside of the overtake with Megson. He fought with Megson for a significant period of time, but could not actually get by them. So Green holding station on Leg Wrecked, but you can see that car right behind is the one closing in on them. Gap continues to slowly close down here. Meanwhile, a different fight going on. As Megson, I thought he was going to pull away from NDL Shadow without issue, but that has not been the case. Shadow has stayed right behind Megson with no issue whatsoever. I do have to wonder if part of it is because Megson kind of runs a little bit wide through some of these corners. And again, that is the big thing I've noticed. While Megson and the F1R driver Leg Wrecked have been able to try and run very similar lines on the circuit, it does not seem that Megson's Lincoln Co. car is able to get the turn in nearly as good as what Leg Wrecked is able to do. I cannot confirm if there is a balancing issue or if it is a tune thing, or maybe Leg Wrecked is just a better driver than Megson. But it does seem to me that the Lincoln Co's do not have the extreme turn-in ability compared to what the MZs can do. That seems to be one of the reasons why we are seeing both of the Dex drivers, the Dex driver who was in this car in the last stint and Megson in this stint, seem to be running a little bit wider lines in some of the corners. They have a good line, and they seem to think that their car can turn in really aggressively, but the car just doesn't seem to quite have it. They keep leaving about a third of a car to a half car width wide on the inside of several of these corners, and some of the corners we really need to be able to herc it through the entire time. They just seem to be struggling to make that work. Still, this fight continues. And another fight is about to come into play here, as Leg Wrecked is pulled up behind ESV Green, just about nose to tail. And for ESV Green, frustration. Not only has Eclipse absolutely destroyed him, and the one time he got Eclipse, the lobby got reset so he couldn't even take advantage of it. Now he is being beaten on track by another F1R driver in the form of Leg Wrecked. Green is going to be absolutely livid with the way this has turned out. And Megson and Shadow are having a little bit of a side-by-side fight where they were side-by-side. Now Shadow pulls back behind Megson here. But here comes Leg Wrecked to the outside of Green. He's going to back off early, try to cross over. And again, right there, you can see that Leg Wrecked is able to turn the car in so much more aggressively. Those MZs are able to do they're able to go and back out of the throttle way better than everyone else and herc in and get into the inside lines much better than anyone else. It does not, to me at least, it does not look like the MGs have a ridiculous advantage in acceleration, or they have a ridiculous advantage mid-corner. It seems to me like the MG's advantage is primarily corner entry. I've seen other drivers in the other cars, the Audis and the Lincoln Co's, try to make that same kind of move, and that's just not performed, that's just not held up. Again, it may not be a car balancing issue. It may legitimately be a tuning factor. That might be it, but that does seem to be the thing that is giving the F1R guys more ability than anyone else. And the big way we are going to try and really get to the bottom of that is looking at one of the other two MG cars on the circuit. This is C1 Alpha 37. And what we are going to do here is we are going to go ahead and spend a full lap on board with C1 Alpha and see if he is able to do anything close to what the F1R drivers are able to do in the same car. And we are just about 45 minutes through Stint 4 here. For those of you who've missed early on, while F1R Eclipse has led every lap, F1R Leg Wreck started in about the 16th position and has already ran his way up into 2nd position. Meanwhile, the ESV POV driver, who brought home 3rd in Stint 3, started last and is only up to 11th. That car has no ability to fight in dirty air. But we are going to go ahead and ride on board for a flying lap with C1 Alpha 37. And then after that, we will ride on board with a lap on board with one of the F1R drivers, so you, the viewer, can make the decision for yourself if you think it is a tune differential from F1R to everyone else, or if it is a car difference here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you saw it right there as we ride around road for a full lap on board with C1 Alpha, who is in one of the other MGs on the circuit. And at a later unspecified point in the event, we will do the same with one of our F1R drivers, the two men who are looking like they're going to walk off with a 1-2 finish here in this stint. At a later point, we will ride on board with them. And you can go ahead and you can decide if the difference is car-based, driver skill-based, or setup-based, and you can decide where you think the cars get their advantage. I've made up my mind. I think that the car's advantage seems to be on turn in. But it's up to you guys to decide. I'm just merely here to entertain you and keep you up to date on everything. ESV Green goes to the lead once more, and he has F1R Eclipse right behind him. Mind you, Eclipse was leading and had opened up a gigantic gap on the rest of the field. But now he is a pit stop ahead, or pit stop behind, however you want to look at it, and still he is even with Green. Eclipse has set himself up to be in a position where he could make one stop less than Green and still win this event without having to worry about tire fall off. To be fair though, Green in the Lincoln Co. has shown a lot of struggle in the last lap, or about lap and a half, in the run. Eclipse knows he doesn't have to push Green to anything crazy. Just needs to stay right behind him. As we are we are now halfway through the racing part of this stint. Oh, and there's contact! Contact between both of them! And Green's around! And Green's into the outside wall! Eclipse goes deep! And he pushes Green off! And Green crashes! Near the very end of the lap! And the car has significant damage! And the car has significant damage with that! And Green will have to pit this time by. And that, any kind of good run that Green had, is going to be derailed from that. Not only will he have to repair the damage, but this is going to derail his pit stop strategies as well. And now all of a sudden, the drama is going to go to, well, is one car busted compared to the other? Now it's going to be, will there be a penalty to F1R Eclipse for that incident? Because that was a very, very hyper-aggressive move by F1R Eclipse, shoving it up the inside where the room just didn't quite seem to exist. Granted, the outside camera view made it look like the room didn't exist, but we have seen scenarios where I have been very wrong about calling that. The room may have been there and I just could not see it due to the camera angle. But it absolutely looked like F1R Eclipse sent it up the inside of ESV Green, and ESV Green, not knowing that Eclipse was going that deep, came down, turned in on him, the two of them made contact, and then Green went shooting out to the outside, and Eclipse is very fortunate he didn't go through. Again, it looked like there may not have been enough room for Eclipse to safely get in there, but I have been wrong before. I will eventually be wrong again. I cannot confirm if that was the case or not. It may have just been that Green was not properly paying attention, turned down on Eclipse, and turned himself in the process. You saw right here, folks. You'll have to make the decision. But one thing is for certain now. ESV Green, any shot that he had of even a second place has definitely been derailed. He is now well behind F1R leg wrecked on the circuit, and leg wrecked is going to walk off with an easy second place result here in stint number 4. Leg wrecked went from last to 4th. In stint 3, he has gone from, actually I'm going to get you the exact position. He went from 17th to was currently 7th, but will be 2nd once everyone has done their pit stops here in stint 4 here. Well, drama seems to be the way to look at this event. It has been a lot of chaos and unpredictability. Okay, that's a lie. It's not been that chaotic or unpredictable, but it's been very drama focused. A lot of bickering and going back and forth throughout the event. And now we see Mead, Virtuoso, and Villa all going ahead making their next stops. Megson currently runs in second position. I will be interested to see if Megson is now going to end up ahead of Green after that accident or not. But a very uncharacteristic accident from Green, and now, thankfully for Green, he has roughly clean track ahead of him. He could just click off some clean laps, but now Green's entire pit stop strategy has been derailed. I do not care about swearing in my chat. I do not care about swearing in my chat as long as it's not extreme. I have the broadcast on this channel set to, I do not have swear words censored, I believe, on this chat. Green closing down on Haya Cranky as Haya Cranky is on an older set of tires as he is trying to go long on his tires, trying to make alternate strategy work as he is fighting for what would be a potential top 10 result right now. Look at this, though. Bit of a scramble going on here. Dex Alien and Dex Prod right on top of each other with Indiel Shadow, who is on fresh tires, stuck right behind the both of them. We have seen the Indiel and that Dex car going back and forth back in the prior stint, and now they're all at it again here once more in stint 4 now. As long as the swearing isn't egregious. What I mean by that is as long as it's not every other word is a swear. Oh, and ESV Pav is lagged out! No! And ESV Pav lags out, and any chance that the other ESV team had of going from last to third has been derailed. We're going to try and reach out to Pav, see if he wants to go ahead and speak with us, but frustration as one ESV team ends up having an accident, and then 5 minutes later, the other team has a disconnect. Everything seems to have gone off circuit and derailed. The wheels have come off of the rims, metaphorically, for the ESV team, it would appear. Oh, they're 3 wide. Oh, they're 3 wide. There's not enough room. And we see both Shadow and Prod go off circuit there for just a moment. And now there's 4 cars all on top of each other. Does anyone pit in this fight? Yes, all of them are going to pit now except for Shadow. So Shadow finally goes ahead and scoots by. Lucas and Megson still have yet to make their 3rd stop of the day. They are the only ones on this alternate strategy. You have to wonder, is the Dex team and is Lucas's team going for another round of the 4-stop strategy? 4-stop got 4-stop pulled off a 5th place result in the prior stint by one of the Dex drivers. Could we see the same thing again now? As Lucas now falls behind Legrecht, as Legrecht is completely in a zone of his own right now. Yeah, Parv says that he had a lag in Al Rouge and slammed into the wall. And my guess is that after that, he went ahead and disconnected, realizing that the car would not be able to continue moving. So it goes from bad to worse for the ESV team. Still waiting on both Lucas and Megson to make what will be their 3rd stop of the day. And look at the 70.9% wear. And does he have enough fuel to make it to the pit lane? That is the other thing we have to look at for Lucas. Megson, I think, is going to be a little bit smoother than that. He's got 11%, so he'll definitely make it to the end on fuel. But will Lucas have enough fuel to make it to the pit lane? That is the new question. 1.4%. 1.3. 1.2. Can Lucas make it to the pit lane? Keeping an eye on this. Curious to see how this is going to go. Big slide there by Lucas. As he's struggling with these worn out tires. Again, we believe that Megson will be paying this time. No issue there. Lucas, we know he's going to pit, but will he have enough fuel? 0.4. No, now he's at 0.4. 0.3. 0.2. Yeah, he'll make it. He's going to be just out of fuel, but he is going to make it into the pit lane. So finally, Megson and Lucas make their third stop right at the 1 hour mark. So they have 40 minutes left to make only one more stop. I think Megson and Lucas are both on the 4-stop strategy. Everyone else looks to be setting up for a 5-stop strategy here. C1 Alpha is in the pits right now. Looks like they are making a 5th stop already. I don't think they've had any damage. It looks like they may have underfilled because those tires have no wear on them whatsoever. So my guess is that something went wrong with Alpha, and when they pitted most recently, they ended up underfilling the car. But now with this, everyone has made 3 stops. Alpha in a frustrating position because now he has to go 40 minutes on just one more stop. He'll have to push those tires probably a little bit farther than where I imagine he would have wanted to push them. We have a mess going on here in the back of the grid. This is Dex Prod, Haya Cranky, and Dex Alien all on top of each other. Here comes Haya Cranky going for a big dive to the inside. They make a little bit of contact. No big changes that time, though, at least. There's also Green and Megson, who have found each other on track once again. This is another thing to focus on. Remember, Green now has to recover from that accident from earlier, and his strategy has now been derailed. But what we are going to do now is we are going to go ahead and ride on board with Eclipse for a lap. Show you what a lap on board with Eclipse looks like here. You can be the decider on if it is an unbalanced car or something else that has given these F1R drivers massively good result here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you rode on board with a full lap with the MG of C1 Alpha 37. You rode on board for a full lap now with F1R Eclipse, and both their tires were at about the same amount of wear. Now, obviously, there does seem to be a driver performance difference between the two, but I want to hear from you guys. Well, I don't really want to hear from you guys because I can't interview you guys, but it's up to you guys to decide. After seeing a lap on board with 2 different drivers in the MG car, do you think that the MG car is just unbalanced and it is better than the others? Do you think it is a driver's issue and that the F1R drivers are just that much better than everyone else? Or do you think there is a tuning thing? And if it is a tuning difference, is it illegal to? Or has the F1R team found something else that might be on the merit of the bump tune glitches that we are familiar with? Again, at least from my perspective, it does not look like it is a bump tune advantage. It does not look like the MGs have a ridiculous advantage on corner exit like the bump tune often provides. To me, at least, it looks like it is a massive amount of turning that these cars have. But I'm just one guy, and I am a very flawed person. I make a lot of bad calls. It's up to you guys. You'll have to decide for yourselves. You've seen a lap on board with 2 different MGs now. It's up to you to decide. At this stage of the race, NDL Shadow runs in 2nd position. And with Green's accent, Megson having bled off time earlier on, Shadow kind of is now accidentally filtered his way up into the 2nd position as Green continues to fight with Megson. Megson has had a little bit of a tire advantage over Green for most of the race anyway, and now that Green is trying to make an alternate strategy work to try and turn things around, well, gonna be interesting to see. Gonna be very interesting to see if Green will be able to keep Megson behind or not. Both of these two are closing in on NDL Shadow gradually. It does seem to me like NDL Shadow is a little bit more stable and consistent than Megson, and when you factor in the accident that Green had about 10 minutes ago, definitely better than Green in consistency, but Shadow does not seem to have quite the speed, and there we go! Megson to the inside, backs out in the following corner then. Oh, but Megson is getting there. Megson is doing the Alex Zanardi trick. Now that he sees the driver ahead is weak, a little bit offset, not happy with his tires. We're now seeing Megson getting right there behind, poking his nose into the corners to try and get into the head of the drivers ahead, just like Alex Zanardi would do. And now Megson is in Green's head. What does he do to try and get by the ESV driver? Follows behind. This is the corner where Green had his accident a few minutes back, but no big move by Megson. Not this time. Looks like Megson breaks this a little early. Green pulls up right behind NDL Shadow, and Shadow's gonna pit this time. But Megson and Green will stay out for a little bit longer. The fight goes for another lap here. Looking high, looking low, don't know which way to go, but this is normally the point in the run where Megson has Green's number and tire life. What can Green do to keep Megson behind? What can Megson do to keep Green behind now? Because he has cleared Green. Now Green has a run. He's got a draft. Does he go for a big dive? Does he try to get alongside here at the end of the straightaway? No. He brakes early, falls in line behind the DEX car. And now all of a sudden we're seeing Megson pull on Green. Again, Green's been forced on an alternate strategy after the accident that he had forced him to pit about a lap or 2 earlier than normal. Also, being able to suck your own genitalia has nothing to do with removing ribs. That has everything to do with the flexibility of your back. Removing ribs will not help with that. As they come downhill through the double left-hander here. And now the gap has really opened up between Green and Megson. Green, 62% tire wear. And is that engine damage? That is a little bit of engine damage that Green is struggling with as well. It's going from bad to worse for Green. Megson, no engine damage, and he's only at 33%. as they come back into Sector 3 once more. Also, I'll go ahead and say that people who typically perform oral service on their own genitalia like that are usually going to be receiving more input from their mouth than from their lower regions. They are more enjoying the experience of sucking something than actually having it sucked. And I can speak that from experience. Granted, experience when I was a lot younger, but I can say that from experience. So hopefully that will shut down that train of thought in the comments. So green finally goes ahead and makes what is their fourth stop of the day. And with a little bit more than 15 minutes left in the session in overall, which means a little bit more than 30 minutes left of racing overall, we are going to likely see Green make his fifth stop with about 15 minutes left in the running. Again, ESV Green still on a 5-stop strategy, the strategy we believed he was going to be on early on. However, the time that he is pitting has been slightly offset after he had to pit a little bit early due to the accident earlier. Megson, though, is trying to push out a 4-stop strategy and make something happen with that. So, 30 minutes left. Everyone has knocked out 4 stops, or 3 stops. A lot of drivers preparing to make their 4th stop. Again, we are expecting that Megson and PTG Lucas are on a 4-stop strategy. We believe that everyone else is on a 5-stop strategy right now. Green falls behind Lucas and Prod. Well, he's trying to fall behind Prod. Prod is on the outside, really making this a lot harder than it needs to be. And Dex Alien runs right behind, watching this duo. You don't want to be on the outside coming into this corner, so I think Green is going to get by Prod without too much issue here. There is a little bit of contact, and now we see Prod fall back behind Green. And now Green has the tires back up to operating temperature, so he should be fine. Dex drivers of Prod and Alien have ran roughly in the same tire tracks as each other for a good chunk of the day. Dex teams were a lot more offset to each other in pace in the prior stint. They seem to be pretty close to on top of each other most of the time now. For the moment, Green has cleared both of them. I think that Green is definitely on track still for a top 4 result overall. Third might be a little bit weirder. And yes, Vanquish, you got that right. There's a reason I set the channel to mature topics, usually. Although I don't usually like to talk about that, but I was hoping saying that would shut up the weirdness of chat just a bit. Prod holding station over Alien. Green continues to run in 6th place now after knocking out their 4th stop. Most of the positions near the front seems to have semi-settled down while drivers are fighting on track for a position. There is definitely a scenario here where we could see some people, like Lucas and Shadow here, fighting with each other again later in the event because both these drivers have another pit stop. So if Lucas can maintain draft with Shadow, and Shadow continues to have any sort of issues, slides or anything like that, Lucas could still catch Shadow. So we could see Lucas maybe still fighting for it could be 5th or 6th position. I believe that Shadow, Lucas, and Green are all going to be... Oh, has Lucas just had a disconnect? He suddenly has gone ghost mode. Something has gone wrong. He's off! And into the outside wall. Something has happened to Lucas. And now he comes back on the track right in front of... Was that Dex Prod he come on track in front of? Prod suddenly runs right in, and the car is destroyed! Prod's car is destroyed! And Lucas, what about his car? He's still in ghost mode. And his car is destroyed as well. Another accident. But this one a lot weirder. Lucas went ghost mode, going through Al Rouge and Radion. Then he came out of ghost mode right in front of Dex Prod. Both cars are damaged, and now Lucas is having trouble not being in ghost mode. Prod and Lucas's cars are both destroyed. And Lucas, who is on the same strategy as Meg said, suddenly has his event derailed. Prod. Significant damage to the front of the car. The engine is toast. And there's Dr. Ice now stuck behind him. Making a little bit of contact, but I think Dr. Ice will get by without damage. Yes, Dr. Ice will get by without damage. But another incident for one of the Dex team guys. One driver this might help out will be SS Flipper. Remember, he pitted earlier, but under-fueled, so he's now been forced into an alternate strategy. But now, with those two drivers being involved in an accident, he might be able to clip Lucas and Prod for overall distance. And now suddenly, Megson, once again, this Dex entry is the only car that seems to be on a 4-stop strategy. 25 minutes left in the event right now. Hiya Cranky sneaks by Dex Alien here, and both of them are coming into the pits now. That's probably the only good news for Dex Prod. He was going to be pitting this lap anyway, so his sequence hasn't been completely derailed, but his pace is all but dead now. As Flipper finally muscles his way by Prod. I don't know if he's going to catch Lucas, though. Lucas will be a little bit more of a trick to catch. Lucas doesn't have as much. He does have some engine damage, 51%. I don't think Flipper is going to catch Lucas, I think, but still. Yeah. But still, another dramatic event. We had an accident when contact between Eclipse and Green, probably the two best drivers on track, and Green went spearing off into the wall. And now another accident, a two-car accident at the top of Al Rouge, based on disconnects and just an unlucky moment for Lucas and Dex Prod. But now, with this, everyone has made their 4th stop except for Megson, who is on an alternate strategy. And with that, most of the battles on track have now dissolved outside of this one that will not stop between Hiya Cranky and Alien. They saw Dex Prod being involved in their little fight. He get taken out, and they are like, we don't care. We're still in it for the glory of the fight. And these two continue to go back and forth, fighting actively for position here. Right now, Hiya Cranky holds it over Dex Alien. Dr. Ice is also starting to close in on C1 Alpha, and Megson is pitting now with 23 minutes left. This is significantly earlier than anticipated. So Megson pitting with 23 minutes left. I am very, very confused. I am very confused about why Megson couldn't stay out for another lap, because now he's going to have to push his tires extremely far later in the event. Going to have to push them potentially into the 75% tire wear range. That seems to be the case now. Well, we are still anticipating that Megson will not have to pit again for the rest of the run. He's going to end up just a little bit ahead of NDL Shadow. Shadow is on tires that are worn, but they have already come up to temperature. And he's going to close in on Megson, try to maybe make a move on him, going down the back straightaway. He's got the draft. I don't think he's going to be close enough to make a big lunge, though. He's closing, he's closing, he's closing, still closing, still closing, still closing. Alpha is hemorrhaging positions on track. We'll catch that in just a bit. But yeah, it does not look like Shadow's going to be able to get alongside Megson here. So what has happened to Alpha? Is he hemorrhaging time because he has pushed his tires too far? Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Alpha is at 70%. Now, when he pits, he won't have to worry about pushing the tires at 70% again. But Alpha is going to be at the 75% again. at the very end of this. This is not looking good at all for C1 Alpha. This is looking horrendous right now. Alpha is going to have his entire run derailed by this potentially. Megs and Shadow and Green have all caught each other on track all of a sudden. But Green is worse off than these two on tires. Does seem to be faster, but he seems to be a little bit worse off on tires, I think, to the end here. Shadow runs behind Megson. It is a 3-car fight for third position now. Megson has it. Shadow and Green follows. Megson runs ahead of Shadow still. Shadow not quite close enough to making any big moves yet, but Shadow may not be worried about making big moves. Again, Megson not paying again, but Shadow will have to pit again, we anticipate. So will Green. And they will have a significant tire advantage on Megson to the end. Megson pits a little bit earlier than we anticipated. Well, we seem to be in a little bit of a holding pattern right now. These three drivers all running on top of each other, but none of them able to really do anything due to tire life. We're going to ride on board with ESV Green for a little bit. Watch as these three continue, waiting to see when Shadow and Green will make their stop. We're also going to knock out our last mandatory ad break, and when we come back, we'll be with this race to the end. 19 minutes left here at Spa-Francorchamps. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Spa-Francorchamps. Our leaders, Eclipse and Legrect, have made their fifth and what should be final stop of the race. And Green hits Shadow and shunts Shadow out of the way there in the chicane. Gonna be a drag race just about between the two of them as they come down to the hairpin once again. We'll let Megson try to pull away from them just a little bit. They're all gonna get by Legrect as Legrect is in the pit making their final stop right now. Green pulled out, backed out, fell back behind Shadow, but now they're side by side again as they start to take the run downhill once more. We're gonna see them rush now into Al Rouge and Radion. Someone has to back out. Coming through here, who's it gonna be? It will be Shadow who backs out. So Green now moves up into third as he has gotten a little bit physical and kind of forced Shadow out of the way. So Green now moves up into third, looks at Megson ahead, but again, Megson we are anticipating will not pit to the end of the event. Green, we anticipate, will pit one more time. Same with Shadow. And Legrect's going to be an interesting one because Legrect should be on track to finish second, but Megson could be the wild card. If Megson stays out to the end, Is Legrecht going to be able to get back ahead of Megson before this is over? F1R trying to make it a 1-2 result here for this team here in Stint 4. And reminder, if you want to see more of these touring cars at Spa and this 12-hour Enduro, we will be here to cover as much of Stint 5 as possible, and we will cover all of Stint 6 as well. We are not going anywhere. Rushing down to the bottom of the hill in Sector 2. Mead, Shadow, Green, Megson, all still relatively close to each other. Mead's kind of an interesting one because Mead's not really had the pace of the guys ahead of him, but on strategy and generally being clear, I think Mead could pull a top 7 result out of this race here based on how this is looking. Real quickly, let's go ahead and look at the ticker. Changes since the start of the event. Now, obviously, this is not the most accurate thing because there are still a lot of drivers who we are anticipating will make another stop, but Eclipse has led every lap since the start of this stint. Now, we did have an aborted start, and that one, Green actually got alongside and ahead of Eclipse before the attempt was aborted and they had a redo. But since we've done the redo, Eclipse has led pretty much all the way through. Green has led on off-strategy sequences several times, though. And now we see Shadow and Mead both pinning this time by. Green's staying out a little bit longer than anticipated, but again, we know that Green's likely going to make one more stop. But Megson has moved up 2 spots from where he started the event. ESV Green is down a spot. I do think you could definitely say that part of that is due to the accident he had, which is kind of completely shunted his strategy. We believe that Green is going to be paying at the end of this lap. Legrecht is up 13 positions. He started 17th next to last. He got up to 2nd on track within the first 50 minutes of the event. But we do not know if Legrecht is going to be able to make that work because he has to catch and overtake Dex Megson before this stint is over. He has about 14 minutes to do so. That will be the interesting thing to watch him do going to the end. NDL Shadow has now made his stop. He came out on track in 5th position, just ahead of Mead. Dex Alien has moved up a lot of positions since the start of the event. But again, I think that Dex Alien and Hiya Cranky both have another stop to make. TBR Virtuoso is in 9th. I think he might be on track for about an 8th place result overall, so a little bit worse than where they were at the end of the prior stint. Then you have VER Dr. Ice, who has been running about the 9th or 10th position most of the day. ZR Villa was fighting way above his weight class up in the top 5 earlier in the event, but as the day has gone on, he's just been bleeding off time, struggling with the car. He has fallen down to 11th. AFMG Hellfire, I'm sorry, not Hellfire, I want to call him Hellfire. Heller is a little bit higher up than where he started, but we've really just not talked a lot about him today. C1 Alpha is on a bad strategy, not by choice, but when they made a pit stop earlier, they did not get enough fuel in the car, so they had to make an extra stop early, which has completely shot a hole in their tire strats, kind of derailed their run. EBT SS Flipper has been near the back of the day all day long. I'm not sure if they've had accidents or if it's just been a bad time for them, but it has not been a good performance for them. And then you get into the 2 drivers who had the accident at the top of Al Rouge. PTG Lucas had a disconnect just as they went into Al Rouge. The car went off. He didn't hit the wall, but he went off, nearly came to a stop, briefly got reconnected, came back onto the circuit right in front of Dex Prod, who hit him. Lucas took about half of the engine damage in the process. Dex Prod lost all of his engine in the process, and both of them had significant damage. They both had to limp it into the pit lane, and that is the reason why both of them are way off pace with the rest of the field, and Prod is at risk of maybe going a lap down to Eclipse before this is over. ESV Green now pitting for the final time. This will be his final stop. So Legrecht moves up into the 3rd position. As we anticipated, the question is going to be, can Legrecht catch Dex Megson before this is over? He has a little bit less than 12 minutes left to do it. About 4 laps and a bit of change for Legrecht to try and catch Megson before this stint is over. Green, where is he going to end up in relation to Shadow and Mead? Well, Shadow is behind Green once again. Shadow's tires are nice and warm. Green's are cold. Shadow's going to have a run on Green, going through Al Rouge and Radion. Can he get close enough to pull alongside ESV Green at the end of the Camel straightaway? That's going to be the big question. Big slide by NDL Shadow, but he's there. He's got Green's draft. He's closing in now. Is this going to be it? Does Shadow have a chance to pull alongside the ESV driver? The only ESV driver left in the set. He's pulled up behind. There's about a half quarter of a car length behind, but he is not close enough. He does not get alongside ESV Green as they come into the braking zone. So for now, ESV Green maintains 4th place on circuit. And now they start to head downhill once again. ESV Green's got his tires nice and warm now. Shadow runs behind. Shadow's tires have a little bit more wear on them. I think Green can hold on to 4th, but just because I think it can happen doesn't necessarily mean it will happen. Green's already had 1 accident this stint. It could happen again. Again, the other thing we are focusing on, looking at the map, is that fight that might happen for 2nd place. Megson is going to be on some absolutely atrociously worn tires near the end, while Legrecht is going to be trying to run him down near the very end of this as well. We have 10 minutes left. Thankfully, there are no mandatory stops apparently in this event, so you can make stops as many times as you want or as few times as you want whenever you want in the run, as long as you're not in pit lane when the time is up. Trying to close in, but right now it doesn't seem like, at the moment at least, Shadow has anything for ESV Green. Green seems to be very, very stable in Sector 2 for the most part, as long as the tires aren't worn out. Bit of a fight going on still between Hyatt Cranky and Dex Alien, but Cranky is going to pit. We imagine that Alien is going to pit on the following lap. Alien is at 57% tires. Why did you not just pit now? You wouldn't... Okay, well, whatever. I'm not the one calling the shots. Dex Prod also still has yet to make his final stop. Unless he wants to try and make these tires last to the end, which, good bloody luck. He is already a lap down, though, so it probably wouldn't matter too much. But still, Shadow runs behind Green, trying to figure out a way to get alongside. He is in the draft of ESV Green again, but not close enough to make a big dive. Legrecht continues to gradually close in on Megson for 2nd. Less than 8.5 minutes left. Again, a lap here is about 2 minutes and 2 minutes 35 seconds. Eclipse is going to take the team to back-to-back wins. And it would take something crazy like a disconnect or an accident now to shunt that F1R team out of the overall event win. There are still 2 more stints left. In the next 2 stints, we are anticipating no rain. So tire strategy will start coming back into play, and maybe things will get interesting there. But at the moment, we are anticipating that F1R Eclipse is going to give this team a ridiculous advantage in overall distance right now. Green trying to close in on Legrecht, but I think he knows it's just not happening. Shadow, though, has lost touch with Green. Mead has also lost touch with Shadow. So it seems to me, at least, that unless Green has a complete failure in some way, I think Green is locked up 4th position here. The fight is really going to be Megson versus his tires, and in turn, what he can do against Legrecht. He is already at 56% tire life as he comes to Radion. You look at Legrecht on the other hoof, and Legrecht is currently at 39% tire life. Leg wreck will not have to worry about tire life at all here on the run to the end. Bit of a twitch and slide there by leg wrecked. Still, he's trying to run down. The gap seems to stabilize for now, but Megzen's tires are about to go through a bad stage anytime and completely fall off here. Does he have enough of a gap to hold station over leg wrecked? Most other battles on track have already been decided. In fact, all the other battles on track have already been decided at this point. It's literally just this. Is Megzen going to be able to hold on? As your leaders come into the line. So your leader is going to have about a lap and almost an entire second lap on top of that to the end. So this means that Megzen and leg wrecked are likely going to be finishing around the end of Sector 2 when this stint is over. Legrek can now see Megzen at various points of the track. Not consistently, but he can see them. And with a little less than 2 laps left for Megzen, he's at 63% tire wear. This is going to be insane. Again, we look at Legrek, he's only going to be at 46%. So while Legrek is going to go through some tire fall off here at the very end as well, Megzen is already there. He has already hit the period where the tires completely fall over and die. He is likely going to be at the 75% wear mark when this is over. Does he have enough of a gap over leg wrecked to hold station? My goodness, he very nearly went off and hit the outside tire barrier there. Can you imagine the catastrophe if Megzen hits the tire barrier, leg wreck doesn't see him, and leg wreck hits Megzen, and that is what decides second place? I hope that's not what happens. I really hope that's not what happens. But oh god, with how close Megzen got to the outside wall tire barrier there, can you imagine how awful it would be if that ended up being the case? Dr. Ice moves by Dex Alien. Looks to me like Dex Alien is just trying to limp to the end as well on some absolutely destroyed tires, nearly 80%. He's going to be at the 90% mark, I think, by the end of this. I could see Dex Alien falling back there into the grasp of Haya Cranky, who is the guy he had been fine with most of the time. So we're going to keep an eye on that as well. Dex Alien just not having... Oh gosh, Alien, do not hit that tire wall. For a love of God. For a love of Satan. For a love of Ahura Mazda. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Alien's got to be caught by Villa here. And Villa's probably just going to destroy Alien in the no-name corner. I might destroy him before he even gets to that. Yeah, he's going to destroy him before he even get to no-name. What about the fight for second? Look at how much the gap is closed. This is going to be where these two are at when the time is up. They've got about one more full lap. Legrek trying desperately to close in on Megzen. We ride on board with Legrek, and you can visibly see the gap closing down. Megzen's tires real quickly, just to give you an idea, he is at 72%. He's going to be at 80% by the time this is done. Is Megzen even going to be able to make Al Rouge and Radion? Again, Megzen should have stayed out a lap longer on the prior stint. The four-stop strat can work, but Megzen pitted a lap earlier than I think he realized. It's over. They're not even going to have to fight going into Al Rouge and Radion. This is over here. Oh, he hits him from behind. Big hit from behind. Nothing. Not a thing that can be done. side by side, and Legrec's easily going to outdrive Megs in here. Yeah, that's over. Boy, is that over. Somehow Megson keeps it out of the wall. He's going to bleed off a lot of time, but yeah, that fight for second is over. I do think it would have worked, but Megson needed to pit a lap later than when he did for his final tire. Good thing is he is so far ahead of ESV Green that as long as he doesn't wreck, he'll be fine, but 76% under braking. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. Well, it will be an F1R 1-2 finish here without issue. Real quickly, Dex Alien, I said he might end up behind Hayek Cranky. He is already behind Hayek Cranky, and now C1 Alpha is just about to get by Dex Alien as well. So yeah, pushing your tires too far just does not work at all. Can Dex Alien keep it out of the tire wall here in Al Rouge and Radion? Please, Dex Alien, do not hit the tire wall at Al Rouge and Radion. Please keep it on track. I believe in you. You can do it. And he does. Thank goodness he's able to. C1 Alpha, who has been kind of derailed by his own bad pit strategy, trying to get by him. 3 seconds left. 2 seconds. 1. Time's up. Over. Plow. And you saw it here on track. Well, Alpha broke late, but Alpha definitely had his nose ahead of Dex Alien when it finished. But at the front, your Stint 4 winner, back-to-back Stint victories for F1R Eclipse and F1R Legrect. He went 18th to 4th last stint. He's going to go 17th to 2nd, 1 spot better in start and 2 stops better in finish. Legrect, 2nd. Then Dex Megson, even with a bad tire strat, or a good tire strat that he executed badly, he will bring it home in 3rd. 4th place will be ESV Green. 5th place will be NDL Shadow. 6th place will be AMS Mead. 7th will be TBR Virtuoso, about the same place he's finished last stint. 8th will be VER's Dr. Ice. 9th will be ZR Villa. 10th will be AFMG Heller. 11th will be ZR Haya Cranky. 12th will be C1 Alpha 37 by a very, very small amount. And then 13th will be Dex Alien. I don't know why the car is moving. 14th will be EBT SS Flipper. And then the 2 drivers who were involved in that accident. 15th will be PTG Lucas 06. And 16th will be Dex Prod. And that will be your final results here at Spa-Francorchamps. So that will conclude Stint 4. We're going to knock out an ad break, and when we come back, we'll see if anyone is willing to jump in and give some post-stint interviews. But I do want to say thank you to everyone for joining us and watching. A lot of drama all up and down the grid in this 4th stint. And we will still be here, and we will cover as much of Stint 5 as we are allowed to cover here at the end. But until next, I will be back in a little bit. And we'll see if anyone wants to interview. If not, well, we'll probably close the broadcast a little early. But yeah, we will be back momentarily here at Spa-Francorchamps. Oh, Shadow, can you hear me? Shadow, in the Xbox party, are you able to include your audio? Okay, wonderful. It says there are still 36 viewers before I interview you. Anyone in the viewers, are any of you able to hear NDL Shadow in the broadcast right now? Okay. Hello, Green. Well, he still is in the Discord call right now. I'm going to wait just a moment here. Green, can you hear me? Hello. Are you able to include your audio in the Xbox party? Okay, 1 second. Let me check. Maybe there is an issue on my end. Maybe it's not you guys. Maybe it's an issue on my end. Is there a box for it now?
We go.
It was an issue on my end. All right, I apologize for that. Okay, real quickly, I want to start with talking with NDL Shadow. Shadow, the NDL team didn't have a great run the prior stint, but you really seemed to dig deep and pulled out a 5th place result here in Stint 4. What do you have to say about your run out there today?
Yeah. I think it was a pretty good stint for me. I drove fairly well. We had a lot of issues last stint where, unfortunately, Wara had a controller disconnect that caused him to downshift into first gear and give him lots of engine damage. But I hope we can make that up, because I've just heard that TNR has withdrawn, so hopefully we can maintain our position.
Yeah, that, I think, coupled with a top 5 result here should help. I do have to ask, who's going to be taking over the car in Stint 5?
That would be Dindu again.
All right, we'll be looking forward to seeing what he can do. Shadow, thanks for jumping in and talking with us, mate.
Of course.
All right, and now real quickly, I want to talk with our 4th place finisher, ESV Green. Green, that had to be really frustrating. On the first attempt, you had a fantastic start, got by Eclipse, and then reset the lobby. And then in attempt 2, nothing close to that. And the race just kept getting worse and worse. Fell out of the top 3, had an accident. What do you have to say about your results out here today, Green?
Yeah, not the best. So yeah, in that first try, I did get a good start, but I was just like kind of pushed into it. The whole grid behind me stacked up and basically just pushed me at the start, and that's the whole reason why I got so far alongside him. But then in the next one, yeah, just tried to just keep with him, keep with Eclipse. Didn't really work out. I was just way slower. And then he ended up coming out of the pits in front of me. I managed to get past him. But then yeah, once he started to try to get back, didn't really end up the way that I don't think either of us wanted it to go. And yeah, and then afterwards just trying to just get to the end of the stint, really. Just trying to keep it alive for the team for a P2 at least, but at the end of the day, like, you know, it is what it is. And there's no real reason to start dwelling on it.
All right, I do want to ask, in that accident, do you think it was a driver incident? Like, you can put blame on a driver or both drivers. Do you think it was just a racing incident? Do you think maybe it was just that the track was too dark and you couldn't see anything? Like, do you think there's any blame to be placed at all on it? Even if you want to be crazy and put the blame on me for jinxing you. Do you think there's any blame?
Yeah, I think I'll do that, actually. I think I'll do that.
Okay. All right. One other question. You are running in the Lincoln Co. entry, and the F1R drivers are in the MG cars. Do you think that there is a balancing issue going on between the two cars in this event?
Not really. I've heard stuff about like the tuning tech that F1R have been using. They've been able to do it with all the rest of the cars. So it's just a case of tune, of them being able to build massive gaps during the stints, and it is difficult to try and keep with them, but we'll keep pushing along to try and get that P2.
All right, 2 more stints. Who's going to be taking over the car in stint 5?
Stint 5. I think that's carts. Yeah, carts for our car, and then bobbards for our second entry. But that's like it's so over. They're about 2 DCs now, so yeah, not good. But yeah, trying to
right.
keep it alive with our other one.
All right, thanks for jumping in and talking with us, Green. Shame that you couldn't get another podium, but we'll be curious to see what the team can do going forward. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, and with that in mind, we're going to close down the broadcast here for Stint 4, but I'm going to start up the broadcast for Stint 5 momentarily here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Farewell, and we will be back in just a few moments here. Until then, farewell and goodbye, everyone.